the arrest, the unconstitutional arrest of a journalist and somebody where apparently now because of his views, because they haven't lost anything. Before coming to a studio, somebody called me for say she's been formally charged. I've not been able to verify that as at yet. But 24 hours after, waiting the Constitution provide for, under the same human rights that we talk about, your entitlement as a citizen of the Republic, that has not been accorded to a woman who is very powerful by every stretch of the language, who has served the country by many, many respects. Love her, loathe her, she is a powerful woman. And sometimes you probably see the one silent, here like powerful voices. But we see to that. We don't lost Lawyer Wurie again briefly. So let me go to Dr. Iscandri. I've been asking for let you hold your thoughts this, sir. Dr. Iscandri, you mic there on mute. Your microphone there on mute. Your micro, okay. Yeah, thank you. So I've been asking for let you hold your thoughts right there because you hit one big bombshell. I call it the big bomb of the evening. So I would like for you expand on that. Give we the Sierra Leonean people and we foreign friends the way they watch. Instead of waiting you make the whole Pademba Road issue was like a red flag operation. The floor is yours, sir.
You see, when we lawyers assess facts,
good,
we either use direct facts or direct evidence or circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
Circumstantial evidence has to be cumulative in nature, but there has to be some sort of a logical thread between the facts and the evidence and the conclusion. At 3 o'clock in the morning, and this was something reported by one Miss Fatmata Sawane, who happens to be the women's chairlady of the SLPP National Party, was at the prison. At 4 o'clock, Lawrence Lima coming to the prison, and he brought drinks to the prison.
Ooh.
Obviously in a celebratory mood. At 4:30, somebody else came. There is the video that's going around. At 7 o'clock, the fire broke out. You understand?
Yes, sir, they follow.
That's at least 4 hours after Miss Sawane had gone there. Now, at the time Miss Sawane was there, she was neither a prisoner, nor was she an employee of the prisons department, nor was she a government employee, because I take it that being a chair lady of a national party doesn't make you a part of the government.
Yep.
So they were there. The fire started at 7 o'clock in the morning. I listened very closely to her audio. And it is clear from me, when the fire started and the commotion started, what they wanted to do was to go in there thinking that Paulo and the high-priced political prisoners that they have there would try to escape. And so the death brigade, the death squad came from State House.
Wow.
The purpose of that death squad was to take them out as a result of that. They came in with guns blazing. And up till this day, and up till this moment, the president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, my country, has not thought it fit to address the people of his nation and say, this is what happened. At least even from his own perspective. It may not necessarily be the truth, but the people of Sierra Leone that elected this man deserve to hear from him the question of What happened to we brother them and sister them when they shoot na jail? Almost of them then shoot. There should be a blue ribbon commission appointed immediately, not on political lines, but more so on national lines, that will question and investigate why this happened. The people that were killed in a prison, una don't think say they get family members? People that have been depend on them. How many of them were serving a term of imprisonment? How many of them were there, just there, held without bail on simple offenses because we have a government that does not, and a judiciary that does not respect the rights to bail? You understand? How many of those people were killed that day? We don't know. The plan was to execute the prisoners that were attempting to escape. And that plan backfired. Because after Paulo Conte and others were housed at Clarkson House, what basically happened was that the government built a second gate. You understand? A second gate with welded, so that if you get for commodity and then two gates they will pass for commodity. Then now all of a sudden, all of these things are happening with all these government officials there. Then in comes the military and they start shooting. My friend, when you have a gun, a government give you a gun, not for just indiscriminately shoot. Each and every one of those people who died that day could have been arrested and charged with prison mutiny. Yeah. And life would have been saved. That's not the case.
Dr. Iscandri, this is quite interesting. And like I said, many people go, be really unsettled in a chair. But you make quite a good case. And from a lawyer's perspective, and this is what is sort of kind of convincing, because you talk about, yes, we don't have hard evidence because we were not there, but we see the circumstances and you talk about being cumulative. So are we looking back at trends and try to track that to the current for arrive at the at some kind of justification? That one of the things, of most recent is the SLPP chair lady, a very powerful woman, but she's an ordinary citizen in many respects. They talk about government, was out in the street 3 o'clock in the morning.
During
when coffee, yes, sir, exactly, yes, sir. So that alone, raises eyebrows. What were you doing there? Even before the others, and she carefully laid out the plan. Almost something, the worst part about it, and the worst part about it, I give you the floor so you can expand. Later, I had to walk back on another, which was more incriminating than the other one, because this time it's in denial of waiting it transpire, forgetting to know that you say this not only voice. Now, doctor the tape, and they started promoting that line, but that did not wash. So this is really interesting, the take. Added to that, you want to say, and furthermore, expand on this theory and convince with people, the doubting Thomases, I will call them, on why make them for believe, furthermore, which you say, because you already don't create a strong picture. Just widen the scope for me, please.
Okay. I want you to add to that, that present in that prison before the prison riot started was a man called Lawyer L.M. He's the Deputy Minister of the Internal Affairs. That's a great position to be.
Yeah.
But this very same man has a reputation within the community for violence, within the community for threatening violence, within the community for a lot of things that puts or has placed the Sierra Leonean community in apprehension for their lives when he's around or when he goes operational. I think that you don't need a rocket scientist to put these things together, my friend. Ask the question. Waiting Lawyer L.M they do not the jail. The deputy minister waiting they do not jail 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the morning. Waiting the women's leader they do not the jail. Okay, Lawyer L.M as deputy minister, he get right for travel anywhere during curfew. No problem about that. The deputy minister, the women's leader, a citizen just like me and you and any other person. You know they work for jail. Somebody needs to ask this question to the government. What thing even they do at 3 o'clock in the morning na jail? What even they do there? Let me tell you what. They were there waiting for the celebration. Let me tell you something about history. When John Bangura was executed, I was a child then, very small, young. If you Brigadier John Bangura, I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
There was an APC stalwart called Nancy Steele, who was alleged to have been there at the time John Bangura was executed. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Sierra Leoneans, we have a problem with using politics to destroy ourselves. You see this very same government? In 1992, that is what happened to Bambe Kamara. They went into the jail and they got him out. They got my brother Salami Koka out. They got Salami's girlfriend then, baby, who was pregnant. They got her out. They got 29 people in total out of the jail that day and murdered them in cold blood. And up till now, no one in that government, the NPRC government, has accounted for the loss of 29 people that were in custody at that time. And this president, Bio, was second or third in command of that government. He should give us an account.
Okay, yeah, there's a personal side apart from the patriotic and national side, because you definitely, and that's understandable, you definitely get family that they will be involved in that cold, your inverted comma killings. I will come back to you shortly, because again, on this issue of the so-called red flag operation at Pademba Road, to which the circumstances does exist now as you've made them clear. I will come back to that, because there are a few questions I want to ask on that. Wurie, can you hear me? Wurie, you line seam for the play-up, man. Wurie, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this na the dinner now, and right now the seats, they conduct the umpire business between two professional people, and they talk about professional people. You see, when they talk about people that will sit on a classroom and dedicate their time to learning, not just learn words na Google and begin for use here indiscriminately. When they talk about people, but in the rise of mediocrity, you can understand how people can just come about and try for misinterpret things. But the world is watching, and people can make up their minds of their own and know who is on side and who is on offside. So at the Ask Una again, there are 250 of us watching this program live right now, which is a good size number. And when they talk on something very, very important, when they talk about the country called Sierra Leone as it is, the future of the country, a generation which is yet to come. Yes, some of us, are hitting that mark and will be passing away, just like everybody else. It's a kind of a process people are going to pass. And we have to leave a nation to another generation. And questions will be asked. What did you do to effect change in the country? Some of us live in the West, where the rule of law is observed, and we are happy and pleased, despite all the challenges, for continue for live here.
because there's a rule of law. We know say we can turn some side for redress. You can go sleep that night and you don't have to live in fear. I've lived in fear. I understand what in fear mean. So I understand all of this. And these are some of the things that really drive people like we for try for provoke government of any shape or kind to take actions. Some of the things where people and they misunderstand some of the callings that we are making, it's not restricted to a single government. Had another government other than green been in power, had it been red, had it been rainbow, and the situation as it is would have been the same, we would have been doing the same thing, because the three of us here, by many respects, we've got some kind of a conviction and some kind of an empathy and a feeling of responsibility, which is driving this. It's not selfish in nature, okay? Not selfish. It's about country first. And I always say, those of you who are inclined to put color first, be it red, be it green, you are on the wrong side of history. You've got a right to support, but to put your country above is even the greatest thing that one can do. And then your party or something else can come after. You cannot take something else and put above the country that provides the protection and the wherewithal and the means. That's just wrong. That's topsy-turvy, upside down, pear-shaped. And that should not be encouraged in any shape or form. Ladies and gentlemen, with me here tonight, we have two special, very powerful guests. One of them has tabled a motion which is hurting a lot of people. And you can understand the people that is hurting. When I say a lot, they are just a handful of people. A handful of people. Charges have been levied against these people and has been forwarded to the International Criminal Court. And what people need to understand, an indictment might not, yet take place, but a process to restore dignity, justice, fair play has been actioned. And some people are not sleeping because of that. Because if the center cannot hold, we have to look elsewhere for respite. And I think that's what Lawyer Wurie has done. Along with Lawyer Wurie, we have a very seasoned and legendary lawyer, doctor, and also the national chairman. So you see, this set is not an ordinary set. One is very young, but has already made a mark, and that's a legacy. It's going to go a long way. It's going to be in the history books. I'm telling you this. And you got to have to envy, not jealous, envy the young man. Because if you were in that position, you would have been discussed internationally. And on this platform tonight, we have him, along with the legend, Dr. Lawyer Iscandri. Listen,
Mr. Wurie, Lawyer Wurie, can you hear me? Lawyer Wurie can't seem to hear me. Okay, let me call Lawyer Wurie. I want him to make one last point and I need to let him go.
I'm going to call you, Lawyer Wurie. Hang on. I'm going to call you. You make one last point, and then I will continue with Dr. Iscandri. Next time we'll try to sort out your audio, because you are not an ordinary folk any longer. You're not ordinary any longer, okay?
Let me call Wurie, okay? Lawyer Wurie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was just saying, you're not an ordinary folk any longer. You have to sort out certain things like your internet, your gadgets. It's going to be sophisticated. People are watching you henceforth. And it's no secret. I've told you this time and time and again, that the action that you've taken is a very powerful action. You've shaken an establishment. You've shaken the core and the foundation of a tiny, tiny people. We're talking about 7.8 million people, and we're just talking about probably about 1,000 people and some other followers. So we have to be up to date. It has to be sophisticated. But here is the point, Lawyer Wurie. Are you going to add more names to your indictment proceedings? Because the reason why I asked this question, When you look at the formation, the setup, remember government divided into three parts: the executive, judiciary, and the legislative. They're all supposed for the complement each the way government needs for work. And I bring this particular point to you because if we say we defend a solution and say never again, and this is it, never again, because long after the sitting president, His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, will have gone, and another set of governments will come there and inherit waiting in the left, we for don't make sure say they in a position for the good of 7.8 billion people, not just a handful of people. So for attain this kind of justice, we need for us respect, we kind of vision wide and far, like when fisherman go fishing. It don't side for casting it, but it cast them wide and then begin for pull towards. Okay? Are there going to be any more names on this particular indictment? And before I let you go, I want to let you just go out. This is the last question to DR.Alieu Iscandri. And we will talk about other events because I sure say you get some things off your chest where you want to get out. And you need to get out there. Are you, ask the question because I want you to see on yourself. Are you enjoying the support of the Sierra Leonean people? Because it seems like almost like a rhetorical question. Because many are what you're doing this for, not a few, not the sycophants. So are you adding to this implement proceedings?
Thank you very much, President, for that question there. You get me clearly.
Loud and clear.
Fantastic. So, the people of the like I want to tell you plenty results in providing the information, the exhibit will be one. As I say, get up to 157 exhibits and evidence we get type of dictionary. I also want to thank Mr. Dr. Iscandri, when somebody we all look up to as somebody, they get a lot of legal experience for joining the team. As I don't make this clarification during the opening statement, take this action for the law of the people of Sierra Leone, and also I take this cause of action not as a barrister or as a solicitor. I take this action as a journalist and as a human rights activist. So with that being said, let's announce the main reasons why the international community gets a responsibility for looking into this matter where they before the court. So I guess about 5 reasons for that completely the claims they will understand the matter in seeking the justice for the people of Sierra Leone. So the first issue is that it is important for the International Criminal Court for open an investigation into matters then when are international concern. Waiting at them and crimes that when are international concern. You get crimes like crimes against humanity, where down in a very, very deep kind down there, you get a high rate because if you massacre people and you go keep them or throw away them, the people not will send them again, I believe that may not go down with the international community. And I believe even all these people that right now, when I get them on this program, themselves know this is not done in any civilized society. So the other time we I will talk about are war crimes. So the reason why we believe some of the crimes that we I don't already name is because we therefore punish powerful perpetrators of crime. They not forever go unpunished. If the president comes into public television after the massacre of people away, according to official government reports, they say 12 people. According to documents that we don't see, they say over 49 to 50 people. According to the report we send, I say that cannot be disclosed at this point. So, so that's the first reason. The second second reason is because why I think the international community for investigate this matter is because we don't get an issue like which you talked here in 1992. We get the NT accusation where some of their crimes there against humanity or extrajudicial killing or genocide, as you like, or arbitrary arrest can be committed. So as a result of that, if we look at rating response called propensity to commit further violence, you go get the fact now say, oh well, look, this thing happened in 1992. It is happening again in 2020. What will happen in 2021? So in law, if you look at the pattern of how violence is being committed or extrajudicial killings are happening, then you go look at the fact that, oh, we have to checkmate here. So that is the second reason. The third reason is because the ICC is supposed to conduct an investigation. We know that the president, because in international criminal law, you have the powerful facilitator. That means the head of everything where crime happen, the forcing the command. These are the people that we can get for all responsible for their crimes there. So, in conclusion to what I say, once for maybe international community knows it, this now then get the last book now for the people of Sierra Leone. Some of we don't go before the ICC and put documents to them, and they don't accept. So that is not enough. Let them look into the matter. We are not saying the president is guilty or the deputy minister is guilty or our net is guilty, but let them go and explain. So within them now, we will be able to know that there can be, for instance, in the case people land and especially the Creole people and stuff as alleged, as the allegation. So let them go and explain and clear this thing. The unlawful arrest of opposition members. Let them go and clarify these things before the ICC. So that's why I tell the people of Sierra Leone, let them continue for yes hope, because like they say in Spanish, la experiencia madre de la ciencia. It means in Creole or in English, experience is the mother of knowledge. If the ICC look at issues like the Bagbo issue, the al-Bashir issue, the Gaddafi issue, I think there will not be any exception. So having said that, I want to let the people of Sierra Leone get hope. Let us say we work around the clock for ensure the sanity is restored in Sierra Leone. But again, before I just make a final conclusion onto this small input, the matter here is not about because people are calling me, oh, you don't say much, you don't. I don't need fame. I'm not doing this because of fame. I'm doing this because I'm tired of seeing my country to treat one another because if we not value, we did a lot, yes, I would say, okay, in life, okay, I'm only forgot about it, but no, here in Europe, we are second-class citizens. When the only place you can be a first-class citizen, by all indications, it's your own, this is reality, it's your own home. So if in my own home, people do not want to treat me equal, people do not want to treat me with respect and dignity, how can I come to Europe and expect myself to be treated well and respected?
Good point. Good point.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very good point. I was just saying, very good point. Yes, I've been saying that the last one is as usual. I can tell you the last one, and I just want to let you wrap them up quickly. 2 or 3 minutes should be enough. So, very few questions in the first place. One, what about people that we go say, why didn't you take action of this kind a long time ago? Because you did look back in history, you talk about 1992, like my good friend Lawrence Fox just put on the platform earlier on, the president has lost his legitimacy. Another question, same question I get for put to Dr. Iscandri. When you talk about legitimacy within this context, do you agree with what one of the chat room guests they say that the president has lost his legitimacy? Is that something you will subscribe to?
I get the question completely. I will never and ever disrespect a sitting president. His Excellency is the fountain of justice and, equality. Is the fountain of justice and mercy. That's the name of our constitution. These are the titles of the president. I will never say so an democratically elected president, well, even though it was controversial, but that is not the issue. He is our president. I will not say he has lost his legitimacy.
Yeah, that sounds well and good, but at the same time, there's a bit of a contradiction there because, yes, we understand. The thing that you try to explain about the Constitution is one, the office in itself does exist, the office of the head of state or president of the republic. And that office day now is the fountain of honor, and the occupants, therefore, by default, occupies until in a fountain of honor. And the fountain of honor, by definition, means upholding the rule of law, dishing out fairness and justice, and making provisions for your people as per the Constitution. But it seems like, there is now a problem with that based on your action. Hence why I asked the question. But I can clearly understand because I'm trying to take you to a political, sort of level. If you know what I'm saying, and I don't want to compromise your case. So I will move away from there. This final one, and I'll let you go, Lawyer Wurie. Okay. Because yes, the international court don't reply to you, which is in effect some response. Have they contacted you after this? Do you have an idea waiting here for happen, henceforth? First question is, have they contacted you after that initial acknowledgement or receipt of your communication with them? Secondly, I want to let you deal with them in whole, 2 or 3 minutes, no more than that. I need to forget what I can. Secondly, as a mark of respect and tradition, bilateral cooperation with other near countries, especially in the region, to which there's also another powerful body called ECOWAS. Have you contacted ECOWAS? Have you CC copy to them? Or not to so this thing they work, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm just asking the questions.
Thank you for that brief clarification there. The first question you asked me now, with regards to the response from the International Criminal Court.
Correct.
Well, actually, then we don't respond. We don't get through email, also through other means. So now, then they pay attention and they monitor the situation in Sierra Leone. But as a responsible Sierra Leonean citizen who is very patriotic, I decide for assist the ICC for saying, okay, yes, don't tell me, they go investigate and they look at the situation first or the matters the way I raise up with as a result of that, before they even go to investigate. These are the documents that make I ask all Sierra Leoneans, I make a clarion call. I say all Sierra Leoneans here help me with evidence and materials them for substantiate the claim where we don't make with regards to which may happen, because I'm not going to go before the ICC and just say this and this and this and this. So the people have furnished me cooperatively with 167 evidence at this point in time, and more are to come, because at 9 the phone will go. I apologize for that, because there are lots of videos coming in and stuff, so it's like a traffic. So I want to thank people of Sierra Leone for this response. Also, a mark of you ask another
mark of respect, like contacting regional bodies such as ECOWAS, the African Union, AU, as per your action, just as in a legal sense, as a mark of respect, as brotherly, as cooperative, as bilateral, multilateral partners, etc., etc.
Yes. So as a result of that, when normally we at the same document for ensure for ensure that you do the work well, you therefore fulfill all that people are doing, very important, like the ECOWAS and all those stakeholders who get interest in the problems and the business or development of Sierra Leone. So all these stakeholders have been, copied and, added onto the documents where the team and me they send to the ICC. So yes, indeed, for answer to that question, yes, that mark of respect will always be an obligation. So with that being said, I get a very firm belief in the ICC affirmation. This affirmation they talk about punishment for serious crimes them way now of international concern. And even if somebody blind or somebody not ready, but with all these crimes the way we don't catalog, so we don't see since 2018. Anyway, I'm not going to expand this matter to 2018, but let's not just listen to 2020, waiting to happen. Crimes of large-scale crimes against humanity, genocide, extrajudicial killing, allegedly or purportedly occurred. So, in that case, for now, we also clear the matter now for long to say, well, would I don't make lie or now that person I don't do this one. Well, let me go explain now before the ICC. So the Sierra Leonean population will get confident, say, well, now justice has prevailed. So everybody gets immune rights, everybody gets freedom, everybody they enjoy the peace and love. I'm not doing this matter out of grudge or out of faith. I think this matter for bring justice for the people of Sierra Leone. And justice is the only way where the people of Sierra Leone will be very happy with one another. Sierra Leoneans, they not ask for be happy, they are not asked to live in any part of the world, as long as you respect the legal rights and freedom and justice, then they're not a problem. They don't need money from you or anything. So if you as a government, you cannot speak or protect your people, and let's give them that little or basic satisfaction of justice, equal life. Don't go and arrest a woman and degrade her because you think she belongs to a party or other race or as a minority group. No, that is not done. It is not done in Europe here. People a single woman, a parliamentarian, take the breaches and government to court because of fundamental flaws in the process of applying for Brexit. Waiting happens, then go into court, then check the thing, then realize, oh yes, indeed, we have to go back, and they did. So what is the problem if Sierra Leoneans then find Sierra Leoneans, Sierra Leoneans go and bring this matter up? I think it should be something where everybody for embrace. If you not say you are clean, no worry at all. Go and explain yourself and exonerate yourself. If you know that you are guilty, well, don't sleep anymore because there is no way or no peace for the bad people.
Okay, Lawyer Wurie, you can't end it better than that. We Sierra Leoneans, to those of you who are negative in the chat room, all you need for doing now for see about 200 people and see where you stand among the 200 people. Use them cumulatively, now so the thing they work out. You see the amount of people where they're on the side of justice and peace, and the people that where they're on the side of the action the lawyers have taken, as opposed to you myopic and polemic view the way you take. It's a pity. You need for raise you game and you need for raise you level. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lawyer Wurie. I mean, we just get for whole we peace and wait for the action of the international community. And as you continue for assure the Sierra Leonean people that you certain that action will be taken, because obviously it's a complaint. A complaint is one that will have to be looked into in the first place anyway. So we see what will come out from there. So until then, fingers crossed. Thank you so much, young man. Wish you well. You look after yourself. We'll catch up. Yeah. Thank you.
Lawyer Wurie. Lawyer Wurie is gone. And obviously back to the doctor, the legend, Dr. Iscandri. Dr. Iscandri, the young learned colleague of yours, you don't outline in case, nothing much there for art there because it seemed like una day on the same sort of pedestal, which is one about justice for the people of Sierra Leone. So wherever justice is, from the way how you talk, that's exactly what you want. So you did in tandem with the young man. But it ends on a high note, and one of the things that we mentioned, you talked about earlier, is the arbitrary arrest of a decorated woman who by many respects is a legend, and the way she's been treated, incarcerated for days, violation of constitutional right, and etc., etc. Waiting actually get to happen in this particular case for Dr. Blinden for walkout free? Is she at the mercy of a handful of people, or is it about the law? Because if it were about the law, then obviously the law happened for be ineffectively applied because there are violations clearly from waiting una also don't make me for understand as per the constitution, sir. So waiting for happen for let Dr. Blinden walk away from the present predicament. Secondly, is the issue of Adebayo. Government of Sierra Leone seem to get a fixation on this one single individual, okay? And then sort of they blame him for inciting, and if he be dead, they probably, most likely, he will have been equally charged. But don't you think, Lawyer Iscandri, that if government be they do what is right, then Adebayo obviously not for be matter, if you understand what I mean. And the reason why Baka bring this, you did mention a couple of things about policy and also government for run. We talk about Fatmata Sawane, a very powerful woman within the party circles, but in not a government official, for then at least they violate coffee order. And then as some side, who side an action develop probably early or later, will give rise to speculation that everything about the thing will happen at Pandemba Road on the 29th of April, 2 days after 59th independence anniversary, was a cook-up. It was a red flag operation and it failed woefully. And you just don't have to narrate that to it. How can Dr. Sylvia Blinden walk out of her present predicament? And policy-wise, has this government failed to identify or develop tangible, thorough policies where one, identify the need, and then you begin for develop them, identify who therefore take the lead responsibility for policy within a given period of time, gather the information, draft the policy. You know the normal policy thing. I'm a policy expert. Everybody get a new expert. I'm a policy analyst. That I can boast of. Start in school. I've got a little bit of experience on it. Not on that level though, but this is like basic. Is it really happening, doctor? Dr. Iscandri, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah. I think you get a question, so the floor is yours, sir.
Well, it was quite a compound question, but I'll try to break it down as I go along. Let's talk about Adebayo.
Yeah.
You see, every right has limitations. The right to freedom of speech has limitations. Maybe I will take this segment for address Adebayo.
Yeah, please do.
You need to understand me, young brother, that you can't day in Holland and incite people then for go burn house and burn police station not to move. Now, the non-born police station, the non-born hospital. If the people of Tombo then sick, they need for go see doctor. Who say you think them for go Adebayo when they don't born the hospital? There's a saying in the law. They say you can't scream fire in a crowded theater because the ensuing stampede will hurt some people. Now the same thing with freedom of speech. You cannot, when you know you have some sort of an influence over people, you cannot tell them to go do wrong acts. That's wrong. We are, some of us may be against this government, but we should not allow our opposition to this government create a situation that will destroy or harm the people that we appear to be advocating on behalf of. Doesn't make no sense. So may I ask you from this broadcast for tone down the rhetoric. Be a coward to be in a safe place and then tell other people to go risk their lives. That's an act of cowardice. So while you and I may be on the same page, that we probably don't like this government, we probably are on different pages in terms of why we don't like this government. So I'm asking you now, as a young brother, please stop the incitement of people. Because when people get injured, now you then go blame. Now let's address the issue of government's reaction to Adebayo. But I can always say, you know, for lead a nation, you get for be smart. But for be a politician, you get for get thick skin. The politicians there will get in a saloon. Now, thin skin people then, particularly when you address the weaknesses. Particularly when you address the weaknesses. They are very thin skin. If UNA as a government choose for listening to a man where they 3,000 or 4,000 miles away in Holland and consider that man as an opposition to una fool, bro. Una fool.
Yeah, for the one that we make comment, you know, yeah, just because the man make a very good comment and then you praise them, now you turn around and say the government is fool for attaining, and that's the level of thinking we are talking about. If you can't figure it out, just tone down, just shut up, because you can't get it. The level is high.
Not only the government fool, my friend, not only the government fool.
Mm-hmm.
Where they go burn the only hospital where they get in the area, they're stupid.
Absolutely.
People where they listen to Adebayo, where they go out and harm the company, man, they're stupid. But this government has a higher duty.
Yeah.
They have a higher duty.
That's the point. Yeah.
Go past Adebayo and lead the nation. That's the mandate you were given. Stop using other people as excuses. Now APC make we do this. Now APC be saying for go kill people in Aparemba. You understand? Now APC, these people don't think. Now, while they try to respond to an Adebayo induced riot in Tombo, police vehicle they rush for go they get involved in an accident, policeman and get injured. All of this doesn't make sense. You can put in a smart person's hand the security of Sierra Leone and one person will die. What we have today is a government that has no clue. No clue. Somebody needs to let the president know that the fountain of justice must be just. Otherwise, you don't deserve the name fountain of justice if you are unjust. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about Sylvia Blyden. Whether you like her or not, she has made her impact in the governance of Sierra Leone. Again, you cannot arrest people and throw all these charges equivalent to literally throwing the books at you just because you. It's an abuse of judicial power. It's an abuse of the process. Now I understand that Sylvia Blyden has been charged with treason and some other charges. Let me see how they're going to prove treason. Because clearly, from what I can see so far, and the police officer will go conduct the search of a house unprofessionally. It was the most unprofessional search that I have ever seen. It was an invasion of her privacy, and it was unconstitutional on so many grounds. I wish there were lawyers in Sierra Leone that could challenge these people. But that's notwithstanding, this officer come out with a picture of Anescoma. And he tried to explain to me, say, that picture of Anescoma evidence. Having taught evidence law for 12 or 13 years, I can tell you one thing, that's rubbish. Yeah, I wouldn't be in court and you bring that as evidence. It just tells you the mentality of the people. Going into Sylvia Blyden's home on a search warrant, I asked to see the affidavit in support of the search warrant. That has not been produced yet. But let me tell you, going into Sylvia Blyden's home is an act to embarrass her. That's number one. Secondly, it's an abuse of power. That's number two. Thirdly, it's politically motivated. If it wasn't politically motivated, why would that police officer, not a constable, an officer, come out with a picture of Anescoma and show the world that Sylvia would have to answer questions about the picture? I can't understand how somebody can be so stupid. Really though. We need change in Sierra Leone, my brother. And the change we need is, we needed it yesterday. One of the things.
Let me ask you this about Sylvia once more, because obviously she's a subject right now and a very important one, sir. Obviously she is an author, she's a writer, she's a journalist, and she's it means for enjoy all them professional traits then they about very highly educated women. And of course, we don't talk about in service to nation, and probably in a one or two position just they elude them where maybe it pursue. But in some of our in writings, them, don't you think the government can derive some of them things that they from their writing, and they, or better put the question, in some of their writings that they by Sylvia, do you see anything in there inciting, provocative, that will constitute probably government taking such action where they decide for take against them? I know the manner of the arrest is questionable, but some of the basis on which they go arrest them, is it based on the writing them? Did you see anything inside in writing where go amount, from a legal perspective, as a legal mind, where go amount to inciting, etc., like the government they try for claim?
So what are you question? The question is
the question is, yeah, go on. I think so you get some and you want to paraphrase them for me. Yeah, go on.
The question is whether or not Sylvia's writings as a journalist and as a citizen can be used as evidence against her for a treason trial.
I don't know the charges as yet. Like I said, before coming to studio this evening, I heard, and I just hear it from you that she's been charged with treason. But again, all right, for taken from you as at yet. But I just to say, yeah, if eventually she's been charged with treason, one, they arrest them, and they try to establish the basis under which they arrest them. Possibly, is it possible that some of her writings will be used against her as to the reason why they bring apparently the charges where they don't levy against them now?
Well, under evidence law, the writings of a defendant can be used against them because it doesn't violate the hearsay rule. However, she has a right under the Constitution to express her opinions and her thoughts. And if that right is abrogated by the government, it will be unconstitutional. Such as these bogus charges that they have brought against her. It will be unconstitutional. It's as simple as that.
But let me ask you this quickly, Dr. Iscandri, before you continue with your thought, please. On the same basis, the government can say that outside the security of the country begin, that's where probably, most likely, all of us will write stop because they self get an obligation and a duty. How about that?
We are not in a state of war, are we?
No, not at all, not at all. But by actions, you just condemn Adebayo, Gisno, which I support wholeheartedly, okay? But a tantamount to inciting. So government can then step in. I know they equate them in any shape, sense, or form with Dr. Blinden, but I just to say there are times when government can say what you are saying, you know, yeah, even though you get your freedom of speech and etc., but there are limitations.
I can hear you. I didn't hear most of what you said.
Okay, but you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What I've been to say, I know say you've been a flow in your element and then I pause you for a good reason, but now within the same context. The government can say, okay, that Usai, you right stop, you get your right, of course, your freedom of expression and etc. But when the state feels threatened, but of course that can be defined, that is where your right stop. And I think say you ask, we're not in a state of war. And then I say, well, you just condemn Adebayo roundly just now, which I support. I am not for inciting, and I'm using this platform for call on everybody for step back. The government, the opposition, everybody where they contribute to the current tension should step back, okay? Let common sense prevail. But what I've been to say, sir, is after condemning one person for allegedly, apparently inciting, I know they equate them with Dr. Blinden, but I just to say the government could say the same thing, that, okay, we consider this for being tantamount to inciting. And on that basis, that's why we are acting, because we get responsibility.
Okay, so we need to know what they're considering. With regards to Adebayo, we could see, we could hear what Adebayo said, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Good. But so far, we don't know what Sylvia Blyden don't say. We will give you an ability for analyze in facts in that way.
No, she writes a lot. I mean, instead of piles and piles of journals.
She's a journalist. She's a journalist. She has a right to write, just like you and I have a right to write, or just like you and I have a right to speak. Free speech is not free. It has limitations, but those
absolutely, that's my point.
Those limitations have to be finely carved in law, not only in statutory law, but in case law. And sadly, Sierra Leone doesn't have case law that'll carve those rights.
Okay, Dr. Iscandri, may question or almost final thought. Yes, sir. May question or final thought on the Dr. Sylvia. Ask Campbell. Of course, we not get chance for address them because I keep the budge in. I want to understand, you know, the wider picture, which is in the doctor's present predicament where he found himself. How do you think he get for walk away from in this predicament? And especially when they say she's being charged with treason. Develop some theory for we on the basis of legal sort of thoughts, circumstantially, which is by your...
For Dr. Blyden?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I mean, you're asking me to develop a theory for the charges that could be brought against her, right?
Or that has been, because I think I just there has been. So if we know saying treason, all theoretically speaking, she's been charged with treason. Going forward, how you see this thing, because you begin say you want to see the affidavit first of all, and you haven't seen it as yet. Correct. And you want to see how this get for play out.
Correct. Okay. Again, I don't have a crystal ball where I can look at and tell you what the future will be. As a lawyer, I can only see evidence that's put in front of me where I can, as a defense lawyer, I can refute it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they have against Sylvia Blythe. As a matter of fact, it just tells me that whoever put that, executed that search warrant is not smart.
How and why?
But why would you go into someone? Okay, in order for you to get a search warrant, there has to be an affidavit in support of that search warrant. That affidavit has to be written by an investigating police officer or investigating official who will take that affidavit. It's called an affidavit of probable cause.
Okay.
That affidavit of probable cause would say, well, you go care and go to a judge, we go read the affidavit, and the affidavit go show exactly that search warrant. Search warrants are limited in scope. You can't go into somebody in place and say, I want to search the toilet, the bathroom, the sink. I want to search the bedroom, under the bedroom. No. The search warrant has to be that what they're going to use with a search for any document which should say, even they plan a coup. With a search for any document which should say she was armed. With a search for any document which should say she somehow was doing something wrong that will give rise to these charges. I mean, if the documents are found, that's a different case. But if they are not, then it's a politically motivated charge. So let's see what they are. That's my point.
Okay. Let's see what they are, and that's the doctor's point. Ladies and gentlemen, we're having quite a candid conversation here this evening, and I am talking to a very distinguished gentleman, a learned gentleman, a legal mind, and I'm very honored, here to have him in this conversation here tonight. He's also the national chairman of the C4C Coalition for Change Party, just in case you did not know this, okay? And is none other but lawyer, DR.Alieu Iscandri. Doctor, this is my next point to you, sir. If you will, I want to bring you back to the executive. Now we want to deal with these arms of government one by one because we say we try for fair solution. By many accounts, we understand, say, the executive get too much of power. Hello?
Too much of what?
Okay, the executive get too much power vested in them. So even though you get three arms of government, we're supposed to complement each other. Yes, the executive can get some extra powers, but in this case, it seems like too much power is vested in the executive and the other sides are barely functional. A rubber stamp parliament will get Sierra Leone into many of the problems that we are in, both in the then and in the now. How you think, say, again, these are many questions why they ask in reflection then and what we can do now for change this thing going forward. Because remember, we also they talk solutions, sir. How we can do for change all of this narrative, we will give the executive the power where it get. In other words, independence between the three arms of government.
First of all, we have to have a leader that believes in democracy. You see, when they talk about democracy in Africa, but sometimes when some of us come into power, we think we are chiefs rather than leaders. What Africa is leaders. The last guy that was leading Sierra Leone was a total mess, and it's by a total mess. So when a young man like Bio comes on board, particularly with the refrain that Power per Salon for better, our expectation is that Salon better, if you graph it, it'll be going up, not going down.
Yeah.
On an opposition that hits and runs. They throw a few words here and then book. When I say you just chase them tail. This is so wrong. This government has lost its focus. If not in country, we will not get for big other people, therefore let them come contribute for the election. For ask the government for let get another election and do a vote of no confidence. They have lost it. And you know what? If they lose it like Ernest Koma did, that would be very sad for Sierra Leone. It would be very, very sad for Sierra Leone. You understand? My advice to them is that you've got the mandate to lead the nation. Please, 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 by all means, lead the nation. Don't start listening to Adebayo. Probably Adebayo will get better job safe na Holland. Because the amount of time where Adebayo is spent online, tell me, say, that possibly we get a lot of idle time in their hands. But again, Adebayo not get right for inside people and for go burn other people house, harm other people them, burn hospital, burn police station, attack policemen. I mean, these things are wrong. They're wrong. And the one that would listen to Adebayo, that's just as stupid. Because guess what? When police get them begin shoot, not to Adebayo, they shoot, but then they shoot. and in a situation like this, where there's a chaos, a riot, if police go there and shoot them, I wouldn't blame the police. If police they come with gun, you stand stomp on them and they shoot you, that's your problem. Because we need to forget law and order, but what we need more than anything is a national cohesiveness that only this president can bring about. You understand? It's a national cohesiveness that only this president can bring about. What this president needs to do is to call a blue ribbon group of Sierra Leoneans in Sierra Leone and Sierra Leoneans outside of Sierra Leone, send invitations to those people, have them meet. Things are not going the way they are supposed to go. Can you tell me where we go? How do we end this? But I tell you what, around this president, just like around the last one, there's a group of rank tribalists. You understand? I say rank tribalists that are going to distort his ideas, that are going to change his plan so they can achieve their own plan. Then one day, Sierra Leone will erupt again. And when it does erupt, it'll be worse than the last one. I'm telling you, my brother, let us face these facts that our nation is a tinderbox that could explode at any time. What we need is a series of national meetings of national cohesion. Call the people in the diaspora, call the people in Sierra Leone, tell them, say, let we meet on a Zoom call. Una give me ideas on how we for run we country. You understand? In the past 2 years, this country don't waste money pan what they call a commission of inquiry. Listen, if SLPP can get the evidence or then get the investigation techniques for you understand? Believe you me, they don't need commission of inquiry. Commission of inquiry was a waste of time and a waste of money. I went to the commissions of inquiry, waste of time and waste of money. What they needed.
Why you say so?
Because it didn't achieve anything. Okay, the commission of inquiry.
Well, now with the benefit of hindsight, that's where you're speaking from now.
No.
Let's look at.
Listen, I was born at a time when there was a Beer Kubet's commission of inquiry. I've not get sense that any. I mean, you read newspaper when there was a Beer Kubet's commission of inquiry back in 1967. You understand? So
Yeah.
I mean, don't get sense that, Andy. Here's what's going on. We need that. We need to get an investigation into these people's, where they got the funds from, whether or not they lived in excess of their official remunerations, which I must tell you, are their 10 years. Because he said, I mean, they become more gentry than they were before. You understand? They're all the thief, bra. Tell French go, no poor friend. They're all the thief. All man get their own thief style. I'm telling you right now.
I want to give you one parable where you pulled some time ago. You know, I mean, in a subsequent program, I really want to talk about some things that you talk about, but not here tonight because they are quite charged. Because when you said those things, it was a different time, but it was almost prophetic because you were talking about the future, and we see how they unfold right now. And if you've been a gamble or you've been a looking gun, then obviously you will have become famous on that basis there because you did make a good prediction. But we go talk about then things then they in a subsequent program, hopefully on another day. But one parable where you can let for pull or where you pull at a time, you say if you load your boat with ungrateful, you go land and regret worth. Can
That's
you
right.
expand? Yeah, this is profound, you know, inside Creole English. Expand, but because when I am, of course, I listen to how you pull out.
Well,
So I get a
say,
little bit of understanding.
Yeah. If you load na ungrateful boat, you go land a regret worth. The misgovernance and malgovernance where they go on right now, na ungrateful boats. You understand? There's a lot of things going on right now in Salone. When 5 years or 10 years from now, when Madapio is no longer president, then people there where they do things them on his name, where you know they say nothing, you know they sack them. Guess who that they can blame later on? And now they blame them people that then they blame who now under Madapio in government. How many years now people are not to talk about what happened under Shaka Stevens, Momo, what happened under Momo, the execution of Ibrahim Bastaki and Mohamed Sourifona, all these people, execution of different people under Momo. Why people are not to forget Denton? People are not to forget Denton simply because when the thing happened, then they relate to the president will be there at that time. I should say not to Shaka Stevens in one race to make decisions say for kill Ibrahim Bastaki. There were people around him. There are people behind him. Just like there are people right now behind the decision to charge Paulo with treason. If anything at all, Paulo should be charged for stupidity if there's such a thing in the law. Stupid, knowing that you are a target, an opposition target, to go to State House with a weapon. You remember where they catch Kamarimba with pepper spray?
Yeah.
Remember other APC? You remember how they create such a big thing about pepper spray?
Yeah.
The cows, the chickens just coming home to roost. But I would have thought that because then people there say, power per saloon for better, I remember saying the better now for going upwards, not to walk.
So from what you just say, so and many other things where you don't say, it sounds like you insinuate that this government of retired Brigadier His Excellency Julius Madapio don't fail. If this is the case, what do you go attribute to this failure? You've said a lot, mind you, just to try for sort of pushback and bring you come forward. Waiting do you and others believe say this president don't fail, and he get 3 more years in office before the next election? Is there a way, if we agree that it can turn things around? Is there a chance that things can be turned around?
Oh, yes. When you're sliding down the slope. But the only way you cannot continue. You cannot bring change by doing the same things you used to do that brought the problems you created in the first place. You understand? So if you want to bring change, you have to be proactive about bringing change. That's number one. Number two, I cannot categorically say this president has failed. I cannot say that because if he possibly fail, it can change. Now I make a say, it makes sense for the president and guess on how we could change. You understand? This governance by Bingbing, because I don't say so, and knock my chest. It will later on come back for haunt you. Sierra Leoneans are a very ungrateful nation. The good way you do, they're not going to remember. And the bad way you do, they're going to remember. So if this president wants change, he needs to look at the people the way they're around and where they get advice, which advice don't cause the situation where they're so right now. If this president wants change, like you know, say in 2020, some of the laws that when they get Sierra Leone, then they address them to the king or the queen. Nothing has changed in 59 years of independence. And some of us have the audacity to call ourselves an independent nation. That's so totally rubbish. We are very, very not so independent nation. We have not developed past 1961. A few highways there, a few highways there. And one of the things that surprises me is one of my colleagues, Mr. Kaikai, I think he was an ex-soldier, he was an immigration lawyer in the United States. He went to Sierra Leone. 2 years now. What new immigration laws has he come up with? Our borders, resident permits, all the foreigners will live in Salon, do they pay residence permits? You understand? These are things that you would have thought that someone that thinks outside of the box before they do. And once when I went to Freetown, I went to visit him, I was told that he don't want a party office. I was so ticked off because as the head of the immigration, yeah, it doesn't need to go to party office. That makes him a politician and not an administrator. You understand? I don't give a damn whether they listen to me right now, whether they listen on a fake name or whatever. Don't give a damn about it. I'm just saying what the truth is. You understand? We need a different kind of Sierra Leone, my brother. A different kind of Sierra Leone. This government has the potential, I say the potential to do it. Would they use that potential and do it? Or are they going to still continue believing that all the rubbish that they have been doing so far has been in the interest of the country? Listen, SLPP needs to change their stripes. We know what they are. We know how they are. They always accuse APC of being a party of violence. To an extent, they are true. They're right. But they are also equally a party of violence. It is only under SLPP that you will see all this wrong they take place. All this wrong. Ask SLPP would have bring RUF Kana Saloon. Ask them back. When RUF decide for morph into
political party.
No. RUF decide for morph into Kamajors. Ask SLPP what's not the role day. Go to the what do they call them? The Truth and Reconciliation
Special
Report.
Court. Yeah.
Yes. No, Truth and Reconciliation Report.
Yes,
Read that report. Integral part in bringing water to Sierra Leone. And they need to be told that. And that in 2020, we're not going to allow them to create that kind of a situation. No. We're going to call the international community. You understand? But having said that, in a very conciliatory mood, I'm going to say to them, the time for change has just arrived. Don't miss that train, baby. Because if you miss that train, 5 years from now, they're not elect now. I can tell you that right now. We're not even able to carry electricity go. I call me some
okay.
friends, phone and no charge, no get electricity. This is your base. Just think about it. When Aneskoma was president, he went to McKinney, he fixed McKinney. This is your base. What have you done in 2 years? Have you brought a factory making condoms and rubber gloves in 2 years to Bo so the people of Bo can be actively engaged in some work? If they hire 500 people, say it's good. You have not done nothing. This is the only party where when they come into power, they don't do nothing for the young people there. They don't do nothing for the young people there. You know how many years the road from Kenema to Kailan has been bad? Now, APC government can fix it. You know how many years SLPP did power? Now, APC government can fix the road to Kailan. Think about it. These people don't mean well for their even for their own people. Now, that's boku big talk. You understand? We're going to build a bridge that costs $2 billion to Lunge. Come on, man. We have hospitals in Sierra Leone that don't even have a working MRI machine or working diagnostic machines, CT scan or nothing like that. And you want to, and those things cost about less than $1 million. And you want to build a $2,000 million bridge to an island, to a peninsula, which is what Lunge is, a peninsula. Come on, man. These very same people oppose the $300 million $2 billion bridge. These people, they are just dreamers. Yes, as of now, they have failed, but they have a potential to be better. That's what I say.
The question here, you know, yeah, with the level of failure that you've pointed to, and it seems like it's historic, you know, and you just don't lay a beer for let all man see. And with 3 years left, this is not the point at the time for big Dr. Iscandri. With 3 years left, I mean, realistically speaking, then probably that change process need for begin now. But the gaps seem to be so wide, you know, yeah, for first of all, reconcile within and then with the country and the others. And don't get me wrong, audience, at the call for peace, at the call for every party for step back. Those who know me know say, I'm not a warmonger, I'm not calling for anything of that kind, and people that know me strong views against such. The only views that I hold strongly is one of reform, one of change, where Dr. Iscandri they talk, and I tried to press him, how we can actually realize that change in the 3 years left, because my question was, can Mr. Bio, His Excellency Bio, turn things around? He is hopeful that yes, he can, but then we don't lay all the cases, you know, yeah, from outside and come out in the provinces. Is it possible within this remaining 3 years? That's not the question why the bottom that I want to get to, Dr. Iscandri. Is it possible in these 3 years?
Oh, yes. Anything is within the realm of possibilities. Anything. But it would be impossible to bring about that change if you continue doing the same thing you've been doing. That caused the problems in the first place. Listen.
Yeah.
The main opposition party lost the election. I don't care how the main opposition party, APC, screams it, that the British took the government away from them.
They lost.
Let me tell you the truth. They lost the elections. And they lost the elections because they disrespected the people of Sierra Leone. And guess what? These other guys have come. And they're similarly disrespecting the people of Sierra Leone. And the people will pay them through the ballot box and kick them out And I hope when the people pay them to the ballot box and kick them out, they vote neither for the APC nor the SLPP, but that they vote for a coalition of right-minded Sierra Leoneans. We in Sierra Leone, we import everything and export everything. We have acres and acres of land. Yet non-governments not come about and say, all the farmers they waiting on a fucking account. When I see these 200 acres, when they send machine they come, when they till the ground, when they give us seed in a planter, all we want is 10% of which you not get. You understand? All we want is 10% for we own effort we put there. Let's see how many of we brother then will be engaged in farming 100 acres of land. You understand what I'm saying? Or 200 acres of land. What is wrong with putting a factory? Don't see, Madam First Lady, they work out with pad, and they say, in one for all them picking and get pads. Yeah. For $1 million, you can have a factory located in Bo or Kenema that makes pads.
Hang on, Dr. Iscandri, because this really bothers me, sir. It really bothers me because, you see, my thoughts are with you. My heart beat there with what you say, largely all what you don't say, and especially this. The question on this basis is, politician about politician on politician, before elections, then they come and make all them fabulous promises there. Of course, it's routine, it's traditional, it's cultural. Why it's so easy for sit on television and the annals of social media and make them promises there, fabulous promises, but when it come, they fail to deliver because they make them sound so simplistic, and it's supposed to be simplistic. If Madam First Lady can parade the country up and down with huge number of pads for girls, a good project, a noble project, and why government will get access to millions? Not we able to forget 1, 2, 3, 4 billion and build something just like how you talk about the Bo situation, when at the stronghold of this government in power, build something there where you will have a lasting legacy, just like how Anes Koroma built McKinney, when a lasting legacy where all and they sing in the name. Why is it so easy for talk but hard for do?
Because the only government, listen, I'm not APC, I was, not APC now. The only government na Salon we don't bring infrastructure to Sierra Leone, na APC government. The SLPP government don't bring administrative infrastructure, but even that was inadequate. NACIT and all these other.
Yeah.
What happens is this, is that governments lose, leaders lose their power to lead because they are bombarded by the tribalists and the partisans. You understand? There was a time under Anes Koroma when all you had to do was write on your resume that you are from Makeni, you got the job. Or you are from Mafoki, or somewhere in the north, you got the job, regardless of whether you are competent to do the job or not. Look at this government today. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I mean, when you have a sitting government minister who goes to the jail anticipating a riot, and a riot occurs, what does that tell you? There's something we need to start thinking about as Sierra Leoneans. This is not right. It's not right at all. And if I was president,
okay,
I would ask for the resignation of Mr. Lima. Say, put it on my desk. Put your resignation on my desk. Because when you go out there and cause violence, you are not representing me. In fact, what you're doing is misrepresenting me. Because if you say you're not a man of peace, anybody where they be you are not a man of peace or we don't act peacefully, now you they reflect on. Just think, sometimes also these people lose their focus. Being the head is a tough job. Let me tell you, it's a tough job. But it's a job where you get to make decisions based on your own ability for assess and analyze the situation. Because finally, the buck stops at your desk. The final decision is coming from you. One of the first things any leader for do, now for kick the sycophants them out. You understand? Me, anybody we can, if me be a leader, anybody we can, yes, Papa, I pull it up and say this no, I don't want to. You know what you do? Because you know go tell me true. I go to do wrong. Yes, Papa. I go get them people in then get a theory in psychology called the ego and superego. You understand? The bad, the evil, and the one and the angel in between. You understand? You need somebody who will say, Pa, I think say you wrong, sir, not one. You understand? But these presidents don't have that. These presidents don't have that. You remember where Aneskoma appoint Washingai. Washingai will be then being gone as chairman of the Grave Diggers Association, as deputy minister. Guess what in the next, because Washingai was incompetent, guess what in the next thing he do? When he go parliament, when he go to Anesi for Anesi birthday, now he start the song, we wish you more time, and I'm looking at it, that video is guys are so stupid. You understand? Because that's what some leaders thrive on. That was where they say, yes, Papa, yes, Papa. I'm loyal to your government, sir. No. What you need is someone that says, brah, if you do this, I resign. And if I resign, I tell people, I say, I resign for this reason.
Yes, that's quite true, Dr. Iscandri. But the problem here is, is to have these sort of people in loads, in droves. So when you resign, because when you resign, thousands of others, they wait for go occupy that very position they where you resign from. So it has to be a collective effort, a concerted effort. We have to elevate ourselves both in spirit and mind, with psychology. We need for development, for effect change. We have to rise and fall down together. But you make the case again, this is not the case. When Aneskoma been in a power in promoting people, and you say this government, they do the same thing. So it's a kind of revolving door policy, if you will like. And me, they ask, who stem the door will revolve?
But a revolving door policy that is based on incompetent appointments.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I'm saying, sir. How, and the question throughout this debate, away from extrajudicious activity and the rise of violence, is also how to find a lasting solution to some of them predicaments there, where we people, find we safe. I just make the analogy within a European, Western world, largely 99.999%, we are safe. Yeah, for let you come under trouble, police fire, and one have you, especially inside Europe, not to America, outside you there, the chances is greater for let a dog bite you than for let a policeman, shoot you outside me there. I able for go sleep na net, peacefully. I'm not going for even crack me, say, but buy me window, or then they come for me, like see if you are blinded in case. Completely different story. So we come, you make the comparison of somebody who come on in England, America, it go be immigration chief. I don't know whose principle will be get there, because I sure say will be there, you uphold the laws and etc. But when you go down a freedom with that position, the way you get, it end up for go label, it go with the system.
Yeah. And it's a highly
trained and disciplined person, I suppose, work for the United States government as a police or soldier, and then immigration lawyer.
He's a highly intelligent. Yes, he's a highly intelligent lawyer. So my expectations of this man was that he would have propounded some immigration policies that would seriously address the issues of our open borders.
It's because he wouldn't last, sir. He wouldn't. I'm not making excuses for him, but again, he should have gone ahead to make those proposals for changes, enact policies, that will bring about lasting changes. Although his very nature of the job will have been threatened, but if he did come under that threat, if we be not prepared for leave the job, and this is the thing, people are not prepared to leave the job. They are rather going there because politics has become a means to an end, at the end to a means. This is what it is, Dr. Iscandri. And this is what the problem as we continue for such for lasting solution. Let me take you somewhere else, Dr. Iscandri. Talk about foreign policy a little bit, because we'll get a few minutes left. We got about 8 minutes left. How will they deal with other countries them in this present day? The tradition and friendship with Sierra Leone and China vis-a-vis with traditional friend them Europe and America. Do some distinction for how will it work out now. Let's talk a little bit of geopolitics before we end.
Okay. So we watch videos of how Sierra Leoneans are being treated in China, right?
Absolutely.
Good. But yet still we have governments that turn over Sierra Leonean lands in Sierra Leone to Chinese, right?
Right. Right. How do we deal with this situation? Not from the government side, though, but bring pressure for bear, because it's just the same thing, business as usual, Doctor. Go ahead, sorry. Just getting a little bit impassioned.
Listen, the employees at Casino Leone and what's the Lagunda, they decided to strike against their Chinese employers. Do you know what happened?
Mm-hmm.
They sacked them, all of them.
Yeah.
What laws does the government have to protect the interests of the Sierra Leonean employee in Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leonean employee of a foreign entity in Sierra Leone? We don't have those laws, because for years we have appointed people into those positions to make those laws or suggest those laws that have failed to suggest them. So any foreign company can come and sack you Sierra Leonean and not give you nothing. Both case, you not get case in a court. We need to change that. We need to make sure that the Sierra Leonean has a lot of power in his own country, protected by government law. You understand?
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. I mean, I know they say we'll catch Chinese then and forbid them because that would be similarly wrong. If we say within the Chinese and they do wrong, then it would be similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely wrong. So we know they call for an eye for an eye thing. That's wrong. Two wrongs.
An eye for an eye leaves the world blind. And guess what? That's what I think this government needs to understand. That's an eye for an eye. What you're going to do right now, an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye is going to leave all of us blind. Well, most of y'all that are over there, and end up, well, you're not coming up, how do we treat you now? You might as well treat people right now. And if the president of Sierra Leone, I do an immediate assessment of what's going on. Why are the youths discontented? Why does someone like Adebayo have so much influence on the youth? If the government been they do right, then one day I know we forget that kind. If Adebayo don't forget that kind of influence on the youth, you understand? If the government, with all the money they get in support as grants or outright loans, for start thinking about something like Chombo Axis, start thinking about a fish processing factory there. Simple, fish processing factory. When I go hire at least 1,000 people in a fish processing factory. You understand what I'm saying? And these are simple ideas, my friend. When you go to Chombo, I've been there. I used to be part owner of a fishing company in Sierra Leone, Foscat Seafood. When you go to Chombo, build a couple of jetties so boats can come and bring the fish in. Make sure that all the Chinese vessels that are fishing in our waters process their fish in Sierra Leone and nowhere else. Do you understand? What that would do is that would create employment for our people. How much do you think it costs to build 3 jetties at Chombo? that will bring in trawlers and anchor them. How much do you think it costs? It probably doesn't cost more than $250,000 or $300,000 for 3 jetties. Can you imagine how much money that would bring if we have laws that says these huge Chinese trawlers out there in the sea, we will allow you to fish in our waters, but you have to bring the catch to Sierra Leone, to Freetown, to be processed.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, that's a good one. Sister Matilda just say, I think the president has spoken, and she's asking a question. What would you say after hearing the address by the president to the nation? So I think the president has spoken. Unfortunately, we've been here. We are almost coming up to 3 hours and about for round up the program. So we're not able for comment because I sure say the distinguished guests haven't listened to the speech. Neither have I, but we will listen subsequently. And there are a few comments. And whilst I can pose the final question to we guests, I just want to say thank you to the chat room. I mean, we conduct ourselves, here quite decently today. Of course, 1 or 2 ad hominem, but we can entertain that. Like I say, we can entertain sarcasm, but no insults, invectives on we personal selves, not anybody on the platform. It's a decent platform. We can disagree for agree. This is what it's about. So there is nothing much because we all fall under the same flag. Dr. Iscandri, just before we go, sir, I want to touch on 1 or 2 things. We talk about change and how we can effect this change. And we talk about, a little bit about being optimistic, like this current administration, they get the potential for turn things around. Recently, I think the ink not even drying on the paper of the newly appointed key position of Minister of Internal Affairs after the deputy done the run around amok. Waiting as you read into this new appointment. I want to play mind games with you really bit before we wrap up. Waiting reading as you read. Is this the beginning of a turnaround process, or is this just another initiation of some sort of I don't even know how for categorize either the pleading of the general public, or like I say, is it the beginning of the turnaround process which we are hoping for? Because this is a key position.
You mean the speech?
No, not the speech, sir. Say the president appointed a new Minister of Internal Affairs just a number of days ago. I just say the ink not even dry. I think we'll be get one Mr. Solokude. Now we get a new guy, but instead of being in Europe, I think he'll be there England. Yeah, he don't run 1 or 2 things, and I think say he'll be there SLRA. So there's a new appointment in town in a very key position. Usai Lawrence Lima, the deputy done the run around. Obviously like now 1-man ministry. Now that the president will make these new appointments, I possibly they try for look at possibilities on why the president make this key appointment at this critical time. And you read into that from your end?
Man, it's a critical appointment because now I don't know whether Mr. Soluku was fired. I can hear you.
No, the floor is yours. We need to hear you. So go on. I get the question.
I don't know whether Mr. Soluku was fired or whether Mr. Soluku resigned. Either way, he's no longer there. It's a critical appointment because he needs to.
Yeah.
The excesses of Lawrence Lahai Lima. Because Lawrence Lahai Lima is one of those people we go for Giddy's government bad name. Because everybody goes to say, Nabiona do this, Nabiona do this, Nabiona do this. You understand? When in 1992, they killed those people at Pademba Road prison, everybody blamed Saj Musa. But if all of the members of the MPIC blame Saj Musa, but if they may not control Saj Musa, NPIC not me forget blame. Because that not before happen. I'm telling you guys, there are certain actors in this government that are going to give this government a real bad name. A real bad name. And those actors are causing the government and the people of Sierra Leone to be walking in jitters like you do walk on a glass. So you get for take your step. Remember, one thing. One day, someday, sooner or later, you're not going to be in power no more. And when you're not in power, how do you want us to treat you? Do you want us to treat you the way you're treating somebody else now? Or do you want us to just clasp our hands together and say, it's okay, my brother, spelled capital B-R-O-T-H-E-R, because that's what we actually are, brothers. And we have to look out for one another.
Absolutely.
Salona, we all know. And if we pull now, we only pull for. If we make a good now, we only make a good for. You understand?
So let pause you there, because the final question I want to ask you now, you preempt so in terms of your flow. So let's just hit the question there. You can continue on that line there, which I want to let we do, because now so I want to let we end on a reconciliatory note. How do we pull back from the present state where all sides depend? And as I introduce you and add to the number of your titles, you are a very key figure politically speaking. You happen to be the national chairman of a political party when are the third largest in the country. You get parliamentarian, so you are very influential. What you say is equally powerful. And ladies and gentlemen, for them, when they will just join the platform, this is not the final question, but I just want to let you know that the guest today, apart from in legal-minded side of things as a lawyer, apart from being a doctor, and he's also the national chairman for the Coalition for Change. I mean, just want to know that, because a lot of what we talk now in politics, and the man is heavy. The credentials are heavy, and he's a straight shooter, just like I describe him. And as we come to this final thought, Dr. Iscandri, how do we pull back from the current state that we are in? How do Sierra Leoneans, survive the current wrath? But I guess the question, short and simple, you get them already, which is, how do we pull back? How do we reconcile? How do we find, a way forward from where we are for create one unified salon?
Mr. Koma.
Yes, sir.
In life, if you find out, say, the reverse, now for stop, make an analysis of the position and try for head in the direction where you want for heading. I am sure, say, Biono come into power. I can bet you my last dollar on that he not come into power for create a situation like this where everybody, the citizens are unhappy about. I'm sure of that. But clearly, that is the fact on the ground now. And Mr. Bio need to understand, say, this is not his second go at bat. You understand? His second go at bat. Like a cricket or baseball game. You get a second opportunity to do right. Are you going to waste that second opportunity that you have to do? Are you going to flip around and say, you know what? Let's change this script. The best way I would say you can change the script is to call a meeting of Sierra Leoneans, not a public meeting. True Sierra Leoneans are from all over the world. DR.Alieu get a Zoom meeting on such and such a day. And I would like this Zoom meeting to be private. I need to ask Una, even the ones in Sierra Leone, even the political opposition in Sierra Leone, let's have a meeting. Anybody where you invite one or two for come back, lose the opportunity for come and contribute. You understand? And let us change, come up with ideas for change Salon, for change Sierra Leone. You can't enforce the law against angry people then. When you make somebody when not the earn less, when not the earn reach $2 for day, which is 20,000 for day. You know, we wake in the morning for go buy bread for keep fast. You go arrest them and can't go prison. Can't go police go put in a cell. These things are not right. You have a judge with, you have a rule with sense, live with sense. You understand? Then, when you don't come together, within 2 or 3 weeks, within 2 weeks after that first meeting day, come up with a position paper. This is what we're going to be doing. When you sack Tim in man in job, you are elect your party. Eh? There are certain people. They get one guy with a construction man, which is name himself. If they tigi is APC tigi one. Now gentle. Now they get construction for all over that place.
Yeah. Yeah. So gentle was
Gentle,
doing the construction. Yeah.
Waterloo had a pipe on the ground and running water. It's my village. By the time we Gentle finished, the roads them are dirty and gallop there, and there's no pipe borne water. And I bet you he was paid by the government. This government needs to ask him. Now you got a choice. You either fix this place like you said you were going to do it, or give us the money you spent back. This government has to be proactive to change things. That very same Gentle there, now they're in this government. So you see, there are some people that are like honeybees. They are like flies. They go from one sweet place to the other. And when I reach at the other side, say, Abo, I've been just stay with the one and they for sure no more. APC government made Gentle a millionaire. I can almost guarantee that SLPP government will make him a triple millionaire because he's now deep in SLPP. You understand? Now, that kind of people, and the president gave for sub around them because then people, they did not get the interest of the people of Sierra Leone. The interest where they get, and then you interest, how they go fill up their pocket. They don't care if woman they die of fistula in the hospital. They don't care if we don't get baby caught in the hospital. They don't care. As long as then gently and everybody they come and pull their cap and say, Brayu Bobo de sa English small. No, bro, we gotta change the paradigm. We gotta change the model. I've been with you for about 3 hours now.
Absolutely. It's been a big run, sir, and you can't end on a higher note.
I'm extremely grateful for you having me on.
Absolutely, and I'm extremely humble. You know, yeah, this is the first, and I believe this is the beginning of a long-lasting relation, both personal and professional. But I just want to express my thanks and appreciation to you for spending 3 hours of good time talking to the Sierra Leonean people. And back to the chat room, I mean, it's been a good run. Like I'm saying, we do have our differences, but our differences are supposed to bring we can together. Okay, because there is only one Sierra Leone, like the doctor say. There's no two Sierra Leone. We lose this one, we've got nothing. We'll be running helter-skelter here and there. That's why people like us are not calling, you know, here for the division of Sierra Leone, are not inciting war in any shape or kind. We're just asking for reform. Like a sister on the platform said, you know, Sister Sana Tugunde, we're talking about justice. If the absence of justice, there will be no peace. Only when there's peace, then you can find justice and they complement each other. Justice and peace then go along together. So this is what we've been talking about. You may not agree with us. You do have the right to your observations, your opinions. But in the end, truth come in 3 different ways. Your truth, my truth, and the truth within at the middle. You get to make a choice. Either we try for reform Sierra Leone or leave it as it is. There's no selfishness, but other than we just ask for peace. And Doctor, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. You get one last word you want to say?
Well, united we stand, divided we fall. And if we allow we country for go back to the days of the rebel war, we blame una. And una we drag the country go wrong that way. Yeah. We cause innocent lives then for go on. We waiting at the diaspora. We go hang now on a line, say ICC take una all into custody. You understand?
Yeah.
So man, we want things say saloon the country like how Yaya Jammeh controls saloon. Gambe, they get for understand say Yaya Jammeh outside now. The country, all the house that we build na Gambe, able sleep now one now. You don't get mind. Remember, one day your time will come when you will no longer be called the leader. I want part with one thing.
Sure.
The late President J.S. Momoa, I met him in 1993.
Yeah.
And no, 1996 or 97. Here's what he told me. He said, Dr. Iscandri, when I was president, I didn't have but a few hours sleep because there was so, when I wake in the morning, he said, crowd the wait for me. He said, but when I lost power, he said, I look for people then for can't fend me. They're not available for can't fend me. Then no one can fend me, said.
Yeah.
That's what happens. When you're in power now, make changes such that when you go out of power, people in still one can see you and can fend you. May God bless you all.